here we are. We're in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I'm in self-isolation right now. Me and about 250 or so open bottles of scotch. I much prefer to be actually pouring these things for you and interacting with you in person and allowing you to taste this stuff. But unfortunately, that's just not the case right now. So instead, I'm going to share some thoughts with you today on one of my absolute favorite whiskeys, Balblair, and in particular, I'm going to be looking at a single cask of Balblair that was handpicked and selected for Gordon's Fine Wines and Liquors. So Gordon's is a great retailer for private casks. Ken Gordon runs an amazing single cask program there, single barrel program. They've done a lot of bourbon, a lot of scotch. So really excited to try this one today. Additionally, Balblair is one of my absolute favorite distilleries for a bunch of reasons. First, it's a very, very versatile distillery. The whiskey does incredibly well in both American oak and Spanish oak. That's actually very unusual in Scotland. Most of the distilleries really do better in one or the other. One of the main reasons that Balblair is so versatile and can be really used for both ex-bourbon aging and ex-sherry cask aging is the style of the distillate. The big round stills, you're going to actually get a lot of those heavier oils, some of those heavier compounds are actually going to escape the distillery. When you have a tall, narrow still, you get quite a bit of reflux. So those heavy oils are just, they're never making it out into the condenser. With Balblair, you got this big, broad still, and so some of those oils are actually making their way all the way out, and it leaves this lovely viscosity and oiliness that Balblair is known for. But on top of it, based on the fermentation and the precision of distillation from the distillery manager, John McDonald, you get a lot of these lovely floral fruity notes. So let's jump right into the whiskey. Aha! So this is it. It was distilled in 2006, bottled in 2019. It's a 13-year non-chill filtered, natural colored, and of course it's cask strength 54.6% alcohol by volume. So let's give it a try. So right away, you'll notice this thing is a beast. This thing really shines as a cask strength whiskey. You get a lot of that sort of spice note, that sort of heavy ex-bourbon, almost like a Michter's 10. You get a woodiness and a real loveliness on the nose immediately. Secondarily, you get this amazing orange characteristic. Balblair in ex-bourbon tends to make all these big, bright citrus notes. And so when you get this particular rendition of Balblair, you'll notice this big, heavy, like sumo orange. I'm not talking about the size of the orange. I actually mean the subspecies of orange, the sumo orange, which is handpicked. It's really juicy. It's really citrusy. And that is just absolutely shining through on the nose with this. Big, heavy, spicy palate right away. Very warming. This is not for the faint of heart. You immediately get this big burst of heat and warmth. It's very chewy. It's very round and mouth coating. And drinking it neat at strength is really like, it's a fun thing to do on a Tuesday morning. But it's also got that wood spice that we found on the nose. It really is lengthy on the finish. Super warm, very rich, heavy spirit. It's really showing as a heavier, meatier, rounder Balblair. The really interesting thing is going to be what happens with this when you add a few drops of water. So I got my little space side water here. Right away, you're going to see all the oils precipitating on the surface of the liquid, right? And that's very indicative of the fact that this isn't chill filtered. But it's also giving you hints that this thing has really got some oils in it. And on the nose, it immediately sort of dampens down and gentles out some of those spice notes, and the fruit notes really start to come through. The citrus actually dials itself back a little, and you start getting this cantaloupe. Immediately I get banana. Of course I get banana. Always getting that sort of tropical fruit. And also some berry richness. Still very chewy, still very round, a little less heat and a lot more fruit on the mid palate. Also, some of those baking spices come through. My partner is a really, really serious baker. She likes to make cakes, and you get this like this powdered sugar note, this buttercream note that I'm used to my kitchen smelling like, and it's really quite awesome. So the third and final way I am going to try this whiskey is a little bit sacrilegious, but I've been doing it recently, and it's my guilty pleasure. I know. Ice. Now, I have always been somebody who says don't drink whiskey on ice. Don't drink whiskey on the rocks because it numbs your palate and it makes it harder to take tasting notes. But recently what I've realized is more than just taking tasting notes, you're supposed to really enjoy scotch. And you can't actually put a lot of good scotches on the rocks and still actually get a full experience out of it, because if it doesn't have that oiliness and viscosity, you'll get a very thin palate. It won't taste watery, but it'll feel watery on your palate, and then you've lost a huge effect of drinking really nice single malt whiskey. This has so much on it, so much strength on it, so much proof on it, so much mouthfeel, that you can actually put this right on the rocks, and the enjoyment is just amazing. It's still mouth coating, it's still round, but you've absolutely killed all of the heat. There's no heat, and really, because you damp down that heat and because there's not as much spice notes, you get this very fruit forward experience, and you start to get those like coconut flavors, and you start to get some of those more unusual fruit notes. All of those secondary notes come out, also because you've diluted it even a little bit more. So honest to God, we forget that spring is right around the corner while we're all sort of cooped up inside. But in a few weeks, when the sun starts to really come out, it's going to be really nice to just throw this on the rocks and enjoy it. So thank you for watching. I hope you are staying safe, and I hope you get a chance to try this and really enjoy it. Cheers.